Hi everybody, this is Dr. Srikanth. I was on Internet Sparks Foundation in Data Science and Business Analytics for Jan 2021 batch. This is my fourth task which I am going to explaining here. The name of the task is Exploratory Data Analysis Global Terrorism. The Global Terrorism dataset has been provided by Sparks Foundation and you have to perform the exploratory data analysis. I was completed my first three tasks and uploaded in LinkedIn, YouTube and GitHub as well. Before explaining the task, I want to throw some light on exploratory data analysis. Exploratory data analysis is the process where we have to explore the data to identify the hidden patterns in the data set and also establish the relationship in between the different variables present in the data set. By that, we have to extract the actionable insights for the development of the process. Here in this case, we are exploring the data of global terrorism, and by exploring the data, we have to identify the hidden relationship in between the data points in the data set and also to extract the actionable insights to take the decisions. Decisions means in this task we are going to find out what are the hard zones of the terrorism, and by that we are going to delivering all the security issues and insights with respect to the global terrorism. And that data set is very big and huge and there are many data points are there. Let us have a look on the data set. Here almost 1,80,000 rows are there and 135 columns are there. Such a big data set it is. Let us see event ID, year, month, day, approximate date, extended date, resolution, country. Likewise, there are n number of columns are there, around 135 columns are there, and rows, see 1,80,000 rows are there. Such a big data set, this we are going to exploring now. And in the data set, there are different columns and different rows and different types of data also is there. Some data is numerical data, like the data which is having numerics like 1, 0, -9 like that, and some data is having textual data. So there are two different types of data data in the data set, one categorical data and numerical data, and also there are different rows or columns are there. This we have seen in the data set, and also let us see visually, is there any kind of null values in the data set, and is there any like this is about the data set. Let us come to the objective of this study. The objective of this study is to find out the hard zone of the terrorism and delivering all the security issues and insights with respect to the terrorism. The name of the data is Global Terrorism Data. The model used exploratory data analysis to explore the data set, and the source of the data here, the URL is provided to retrieve the data into the Jupyter notebook. So this is the URL, and by this we can see the data, and we can download the data set and retrieve it to the Jupyter notebook for the processing by exploratory data analysis. These are the major steps involved in the task, that is defining the problem. The problem statement is to identify the hard zone of terrorism and delivering all security issues and insights. And the second step is checking the versions of the libraries. There are number of libraries are required to. Yeah, the second step is checking the versions of the libraries, and there are many libraries are required to perform this task, and prior to that we have to check the versions of the libraries which are going to importing into the Jupyter notebook. Let us next step move to the next step, that is importing libraries into the Jupyter notebook. So the required libraries has to be imported into the Jupyter notebook to perform the exploratory data analysis. Cleaning of the data, pre-processing of the data. This is very important step in the exploratory data analysis, that is the cleaning of the data, and also known as wrangling of the data. We have to clean the data before performing the exploratory data analysis to avoid the false results and false patterns, and to avoid the deriving the false insights. So the data has to be cleaned before performing exploratory analysis. The process is called as wrangling of the data, pre-processing of the data. In the cleaning of the data, we have to look for, is there any null values in the data set, and is there any duplicate values in the data set, and also like any the columns has to be verified, and rows has to be verified. Likewise, many things we have to perform to clean the data which is ready for the exploratory data analysis further. The next step is exploratory data analysis that will be discussed in the later part of the task, and once it has been done, we have to visualize the data to extract the security issues as per our problem statement, and also actionable insights to identify the hard zones of the terrorism. Finally, the conclusion. Let us move to the version verification of the libraries, and NumPy, Matplotlib, Pandas, sklearn, and Seaborn. These are the libraries are required to perform this task, and we have to verify the versions. Then importing libraries. Once it has been done, the libraries are imported into this Jupyter notebook to perform the task. Finally, the libraries are imported successfully. So here NumPy, Matplotlib, Pandas, sklearn, Matplotlib, and there is a library which is ignore the warnings, and Seaborn to plot the plots. Likewise, there are number of libraries are required, and those have been imported into the Jupyter notebook for further processing. Reading of the dataset. Here the provided dataset has to be read by the Jupyter notebook, and here pd dot read underscore csv. This is the function used to read the dataset. Here the dataset has been saved on the desktop, so the path is given to read the dataset. Finally, the data has been read successfully. And dimensions of the dataset. What is the exact shape of the dataset? That is, once you call by the function, that is dot shape, that is 1,80,160,1691 rows are there, and 135 columns are there. Such a big and huge data points are there in the data set, and this is the shape of the data set. Cleaning or pre-processing of the data. So prior to performing exploratory data analysis, because the data set has got many columns, that is 135 columns are there, we had to take look at the data set to see all the columns, and also to decide which column is important and which column is not important for the exploratory data analysis. So finally, we decided that there are 23 columns are very important to perform the exploratory data analysis. That is called as selection of required columns. We have selected the required columns to perform the exploratory. We have selected 23 columns which are majorly required to perform the exploratory data analysis. The columns are like 1, 5, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and so on. Likewise, 23 columns have been selected to perform the exploratory data analysis. At the same time, some of the titles of the column is too long, and there will be a chance to convert into like abbreviated form. So here we are defining, this is the latitude and longitude, year, country underscore text and region underscore text. Likewise, the data set is having names of the columns. So if you don't want to continue with the same title of the column, we can modify the name which we required, and that could be very useful for exploratory data analysis and comfortable for exploratory data analysis. So here what we are doing is we are converting the name of the column to another title which is useful and also easy to process the data set in a comfortable way. So here some titles of the columns have been selected, and we are giving the command that to convert into the required title to perform the exploratory data analysis. So here it is the dictionary format we have written. Again, why you are reading the data set is means here already we have defined the columns. So 23 columns have been selected, and the data set should display the 23 columns only after reading. Okay, so again we are reading the data set, and here we are giving the command use columns, and whatever the columns we have defined, we are telling that we need to use those columns only. So the command has given, so the data set has been read successfully. Again, we have to check whether our request is considered or not. Here the total number of columns is 135. Here only we have selected 23 columns only for the exploratory data analysis, and the command has given use columns, use calls, and once the command has been applied, the function has been applied, the data set has been read, and further we have to check whether the command has been accepted or taken by the Jupyter or not. Okay, again we are reading the measuring the dimensions of the data set by the function dot shape, and see here the columns remain the rows are remain same, that 1,81,691, and the columns are become 23 because we have selected only 23 columns instead of 135. Here 135 here after selection and after giving the command, further reading of the data set, finally 23 columns are only considered to perform the exploratory data analysis. So the next step is remove unknown values in the coordinates. That is, the coordinate is latitude and longitude. Is there any unknown values and null values are there? That will be removed by the function, that is pandas will be used for this purpose. PD dot not null. The dataset name we have defined is df underscore terrorism, that is latitude, and another function is PD pandas not null. The dataset name is df underscore terrorism longitude. So whatever the unknown values in the latitude and the longitude column, that will be removed by this function. Unknowns in the numeric columns. Already I told that there are two types of columns in the data set, numeric columns and textual data columns, that is categorical data columns. Here we are defining that exclude columns, that is year, lat and lon, means latitude and longitude. Okay. So here we are defining that there will be here we don't want any non-values in the data set. They automatically converted to the data type, that is float. Okay, so here by this function we are converting the data set, the values in the data set, especially the defined columns, that will be converted into the float. Float means the value which contains decimal. Okay, and converting the unknown into the negative numbers. Let us say -9. So here again we are defining that is fill NA, that is type integer, and float columns for the dataset name is df_terrorism. We are telling that to convert into the whatever the unknowns into the negative numbers, that is -9. Okay, so by this function we are converting the unknowns into the float, and by this function we are converting to the unknowns into the negative numbers. Unknowns in the string columns, that is the categorical data, that will be removed and by this function. Limit long strings. So is there any string is very long, that will be limited by this function. Okay, and number of duplicate values in the data set, and here is there any duplicate values in the data set, that is called by the function duplicated.sum. There are 22,037 duplicate values are there in the data set, and that will be removed by the function drop_duplicates, that is whatever the duplicate values will be is there in the data set, that will be removed by this function. And finally we are validating whether by this function we have removed all the duplicate values are there or not. Then null values in the data set, that is by the function is null.sum, it is going to display is there any null values in the data set, that is all these things are columns what you have selected, that is 23 columns, and it is displaying the null values. Here there is no null value, 0 0 0 0. Likewise there is no null values in the data set. Here total number of null values, here see total number of values, null values is null.sum. It is going to display the total number of null values. So there are already have seen that is 0 number of null values are there. Again the total number, here the column wise null values, and here the total number of null values. The total number of null values is 0. And shape of the final processed data. So we have come to the end of the data processing. Here we have verified the shape of the data set, and we read the data set, and we verified is there any null values in the data set, and you verified the duplicate values in the data set, and also we have renamed certain column titles, and also we have replaced some unknowns with the strings, and also we have replaced some unknowns with the numerical, that is the negative values. So these are our requirements to perform the exploratory data analysis of given data set in a comfortable way, and also it is called as cleaning of the data set. Cleaning of the data set is means the data set which is fit for the exploratory data analysis. So we have performed all these things. Finally the data set is ready to perform the exploratory data analysis, and prior to that we are measuring the assessing the shape of the processed data set. TF underscore terrorism, it is the defined defined variable name. Let us see here, it is going to display all columns and rows. There are 1,45,751 rows and 23 columns in the data set. So it means that we have processed the data set and we have cleaned the data set, which is fit for the further exploratory data analysis. Let us start the exploratory data. Again, dimensions of the data set, that is dot shape, it is a function. If you call that function, the output is, that is 1,45,751 rows are there, 23 columns are there. Columns are already we have defined, only we need only 23 columns for the exploratory data analysis of global terrorism data set. And earlier there are 1,80,000 plus rows are there, and after cleaning and pre-processing or wrangling of the data, the total number of rows, that is 1,45,751 rows are there. So this is the final shape of the data set prior to exploratory data analysis. Then we can say that the data is fit for to perform the exploratory data analysis. The data cleaning process is over. We have removed so many things and we have reshaped the data set. Then we are performing the exploratory data analysis. Let us start exploratory data analysis. Columns in the data set. Columns in the data set means what are the columns are there in the data set. Already we have defined only 23 columns instead of the 135, because all the columns are not necessary to perform the exploratory data analysis. Based on the significance and importance, we have selected only 23 columns, and by this function dot columns, variable dot columns, it is going to show different types of the columns. 23 columns are there, and we have renamed the title also. So here it is displaying the renamed titles of the columns, 23 columns. Data types in the data set, the function that is dot d types, it is going to give the types of the data set. Only there is a numerical data and textual data in the data set. Apart from that, there is a float data, because we have converted some unknowns into the floats. That is the reason it is going to show here integers, objects means textual data, float, decimal data. This is the numerical data. So all these three kinds of data types are there in the data set. Okay, so by this function it is showing the 23 columns. In 23 columns, what are the different data sets are there. Let us see, peek at the data. By the function dot head, it is going to give the first 5 rows data. See, 5 rows and 23 columns. Okay, this is the data it is displayed. And tile, and it is going to give the last 5 rows. Full summary of the dataset dot info. It is the function used to know the full summary of the dataset. So there are 23 columns in the dataset, and the count has been given, and what will be the data type. The total RAM used, that is 27.7 plus MB used. Okay. The count of the null values, the count of values in each column of the data set. So by using the function dot n unique, we are going to measure what are the number of data points in the each column. Unique data points in the each column. Here there are 47 unique points are there. Extended 2 is there. Country 204 is there. Likewise, it is going to display the summary of the information in the each column. What are the unique data points are there? Years in the data set. Let us see what are the different years in the data set. Unique, it is the function going to give the information about the years. So here the data has been displayed. Here there are different years, so 1972, 2017, and the data set is having the terrorism. Yeah, info of the data, it is going to give the complete information about the data set. By the function df underscore terrorism.info, it is going to show the what are the different columns are there in the data set, and the total data points in the data set, and what is the data type, and what is the memory used. So the complete information of the data set has been displayed here. So the total number of values, that is 1,45,751, and count, this is the count, and these are the data types, integer, object, float kind of data types are there in the data set. The memory used is 22.8 plus, and the count of values in each column of the data set, that is if you want to know what is the unique values in the each column. For example, here there are 47 unique values are there in the year column. Likewise, extended country, there are 204 unique countries are there in the country column, and region, 12 different regions are there. States, 2,832 is there. Cities, 35,059 are there. Longitude, latitude, multiples, and success, suicide, attack types. There are 9 attack types are there, which is very important. How the terrorists are attacking the people or properties. What are the different types of the attacks they are going to use to attack the people. Like there are 9 different categories, and target types. What are the different target? Who are the target item for the terrorist? There are 22 target types are there. Okay. Likewise, weapon type. This is one more important thing to discuss here. That is 12 different types of weapons has been used. And killed persons, how many of them killed, what are the different categories of the people killed here. That is 201, this is the unique value. And wounded, how many of them is wounded, and property, and how many properties are got destroyed by the terrorist activities and attacks. These are the things, the complete information has been displayed here, and by this function .neq you are going to count the unique values in each and every column. There are 23 columns. These are the unique values. Let us see here. Year dot unique it is going to give what are the different years are there in the column, year column. That is 1970 to 2017. The terrorist activities has been given in the data set, and that is correct. 1972 to 2017. How many years are there? Around 47 years are there. The same value here. Year types is 47. Here also 47 years has been displayed. And count of each year in the data set. Again, in 2014, how many terrorist activities have been done? And 2015, 16. Likewise, the complete, from 1970 to 1970 here, this is 1970, and up to 2017, this is the thing. How many terrorist attacks have been done? That is the unique values, and each and every year has been displayed here. The total count of the region in the data set. So there are different regions in the data set, like South Asia, Middle East, North Africa, like that. So the unique value under each region has been displayed here. South Asia 39,932. Likewise, the unique value has been displayed here from each and every region, type of the region in the data set. And G name in the data set here, unknown, Taliban, Islamic State of Iraq, and the Levant, ISIL, Al-Shabaab, Shining Path. These are some terrorist agencies. Means gang name. G name means gang name, and these are the terrorist agencies. Will do the terrorist activities and promote the terrorism and attack the people and destroy the properties. Okay, so let us see the count of each and every category in that particular column of the data set. G name, that is unknown, that is 65,768 is the Taliban, 7,130. There likewise each and every category. Likewise, the unique value of each category of that particular column has been counted. Here the information has been displayed. The counts of the cities in the data set. There are different cities which are affected by the terrorism. Let us see here the unknown: Baghdad, Karachi, Mosul, Mogadishu. Likewise, there are a number of cities, and the unique value of each and every city has been displayed here. The total counts of attack types, how many times the attacks has been taken place, and what are the different attack types. That is bombing and explosion. That is 66,473 times they have attacked the people or properties or countries by means of bombing and explosion. Armed assault. That is 36,659. Assassination, hostage stalking, kidnapping, facility and infrastructure attack, unknown, unarmed assault, hostage stalking. Likewise, there are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9 types of these attack types are there, and each and every type of terrorist attack, the unique values has been displayed here. See, bombing has been done 66,047 times. Okay. Total counts of target types in the data set. What is the target type? Whether they attacked the property or military, police, government, business, transportation, and religious, educational institutions. Likewise, let us see, by means of this data we can say that they have mostly attacked on the target, that is private citizens and property, 34,444. Next, they attacked on military, that is 24,366. Police, government. Likewise, here they are very food and water supply is the most attacked by, very less attacked by the terrorists when compared to these private citizens and property, military, police, government, like that. Statistical summary of the data. So here by the function dot describe, it is going to give the information about the mean, mode, median, standard deviation, what is the minimum value in that particular column, and what is the maximum value of the particular column. Let us see here what is the total number of data points. That is 1,45,071 data points means rows are there, and what is the mean, that is 2003, and standard deviation minimum, that is the data has given start from 1970 to 2017, so the starting value is 1970, so that it is minimum and maximum 2017, and the 50% means it is the median of the that particular column, and this is the 25% means first quartile, and this is the 75% third quartile. So likewise, for each and every column what you have selected, it is going to give the statistical summary. So data in each column, again that categorical data has been displayed in the each column. There are 23 different columns are there. If you call by the function call.neq, and it is going to give information and what is there exactly in that particular column. First year column is there. See whatever the years are there, that has been displayed, and Likewise, all the columns, 23 columns, information has been displayed here. Correlation among the columns by using the function dot core. Here we are correlating the relationship in between the variables. That is, correlation is the function to find out the correlation among the columns. We are only having we are having some numerical columns and categorical columns in the data set, and it is used to find out the pairwise correlation in all columns in the data frame, and any values are automatically excluded for any non-numerical data columns in the data frame. It is ignored. So it is the function used to do or to establish the correlation in between the Let us see here there are 23 columns are there in the data set, and here the correlation in between year because we are comparing the same variable with same variable. We are comparing same variable, so the correlation is 1. Extended versus extended, so the correlation is 1. So if you see diagonally, so likewise here the correlation is 1 because we are comparing same set of variables in the columns. So if you compare the different set of variables, like let us see here, take the year, and compare with the n killed, how many people have been killed. Okay, so here if you compare like this, so here 0.2 is the value. It says that is one means there is a good relation or good correlation in between two variables in the column. Here 0.2 means okay, it is little bit positive correlation in between two variables. Likewise, we have to see how each and every variable of the columns, or how the columns are dependent with respect to each other. Okay, so by means of correlation always it is 1. If you can say 1 is good correlation, and if it is positive, like without negative sign, we can say that positive correlation. If there is a negative sign, we can say that negative correlation between the columns. Covariance between the set of variables. So here the covariance provide the measure of strength of correlation in between two variables or more set of variables. Covariance also is like it should be 0, the variables are uncorrelated, 0, then variables are positive correlated, means greater than 0, and less than 0, the variables are negatively correlated. So here you can see some values are with negative sign, and without negative sign, that is positive values, and some values 0. You can say that is how the data set variables are correlated with respect to each other has been established here. Slicing of the data, that is by using ilog function, we can slice the data, whatever the required column that we can cut from the data set, and that will be visualized, and this is the slicing of the data. Let us see next part of the exploratory data analysis. After completion of exploratory data analysis, we had visualized the data. Here Already we have established how the different columns are correlated with each other. So the same thing has been visualized here. See, year means year, we are comparing year with the year, so the positive correlation, that is 1. See, if you see diagonally the 111 displays, it is a good correlation in between the two columns. Likewise, you know, the data has been visualized in the same way. The covariance also visualized like this, and visualization of missing values. See here, there is no missing values in the data set. So likewise, pie plot of attacks types. If you take attack types, bombing and explosion, it is 45.6%, and armed assault 25.2%, and assassination 11.2%, and hostage stalking, that is kidnapping, 6.8%. So the major portion of the terrorist attack is bombing and explosion, that is almost contributing 45% of 6%, sorry, 45.6%. And target type, and they are most preferably focusing by this plot. We can say that the terrorists are attacked, that the targets mostly on private citizens and property. It contributes the value of 23.6%. Then they targeted and military, police, government, and business. These are the 5 different target types which they majorly focus and they majorly attack. The major portion is 23.6%. That is, they target private citizens and property. By plot of weapon type, what is the weapon type they use? That is, explosives are the major weapon type used by the terrorist. That is contributes the 48.3%, and firearms 34.8%. Unknowns 8.8%. So the major portions, that is explosives and firearms, these are the weapons used by the terrorist. And the plot of region wise, how they affect by the terrorist attacks. South Asia and Middle East, North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, South America, Western Europe, Southeast Asia, Central America and Caribbean. So the 27.4% affected. The South Asia region is affected, 27.4%. Middle East and North America 26.8%. Likewise, these are the 2 major regions which are mostly affected by the terrorist attacks. And then with the 10.5% Sub-Saharan Africa, South Africa. Likewise, number of terrorist activities by the region. Here the same data has been visualized here. Middle East and North Africa. Middle East and North Africa, that is 26.8%. See, number of terrorist attacks by the region. What is the count? Middle East and North Africa. See here, almost 50,000 nearly terrorist attacks. And South Asia, South America, Sub-Saharan Africa. Likewise, here Australasia and Oceania. This is very less terrorist attacks we have seen in this area. Here most affected is South Asia, South America and Middle East and North Africa. Number of terrorist activities each year. So the data has been given from 1970 to 2017. Once you see the data from 1970 to 2017, the terrorist attacks has been significantly increased. See, 1970, this is that terrorist attacks below 2000. When it reaches to the 1979, it move on to more about 2000. Likewise, so here in 1989 or 1998, so here there are 4,000 terrorist attacks almost. Likewise, the terrorist attacks significantly increased with by year by year. Let us see here. Again, in 1998, there is a drastic change in the terrorist attacks. Again, it has been increased like anything, and you can see here in 2014 there is a more number of terrorist attacks have happened, and 2015, 16, 17. Again, from 14 to 17, if you compare the terrorist attacks, in 2014 more terrorist attacks have been seen, and 2017 is less when compared to the 2014. Frequency of attack, how frequently they will attack, See here again, year wise, and what are the frequency of attacks. Already we have 2014 more number of terrorist attacks have been recorded, and 2017 is very less when compared to 2014. In 1917 is very less. In 1984 there is a slight rise in the terrorist attacks when compared to the 1970. Likewise, and 1998 there is a decline in the terrorist attacks. Again, there is a rise in the terrorist attacks by year, and 2014 is the more terrorist attacks. And let us see here attacking types of terrorists, how they are going to attack the people and government, police, army, like that. Here attack types, bombing and explosion already you have seen in the pie plot, and it is a major attack type used by the terrorists to destroy the properties and to kill the people or to kill the army, likewise. So the very less is hijacking, very less preferred method by the terrorist is hijacking. The most attack type is bombing and explosion, then armed assault, then association, likewise. Weapons used here, again we have visualized what are the weapons. Explosives, they use more explosives, and they don't use any chemicals, okay, and firearms and explosives will be used majorly as a weapon to kill the people and destroy the properties. Attacking methods by the terrorist, and let us see here bombing and explosion. Already we have seen the most used attacking method by the terrorist. Target types. What is the target type? Already we have seen military, police, government, and private citizens and property. Most affected areas by the terrorist. These are the major targets for the terrorist. Number of terrorist activities country-wise. Let us see here. Here we are only taking 25 countries. There are a number of countries that has been given in the data set, but only we have taken 25, and it is going to give the information about the 25 countries only. Here you can see in Iraq, most number of terrorist activities are happened, and then Pakistan, then Afghanistan, then India. So after Iraq, Pakistan and Afghanistan, India is the most affected country by the terrorist. And likewise, here we've seen that in Syria there are very less number of terrorist attacks. Okay. Number of terrorist attacks region wise. Again, there is a in South Asia and Middle East and North Africa, the terrorist attacks will be more. Okay. Terrorist attacks and region. See, there are different regions, and here we can see terrorist attacks. Here, Central Asia and Central America and Caribbean, Australasia and Oceania. And here, as per the data which is plotted in a bar type, okay, you can see here Middle East and North Africa and South Asia. Middle East and North Africa and South Asia. See here, Middle East and North Africa and South Asia. These two are predominantly affected by the terrorists. Okay, see here, these two colors is here Middle East and North Africa. This is the color. This is the most terrorist attacks you can see. Target type versus here, the same data has been visualized in a different type of visualization, and here see it the target types, and there are different target types. The most affected private citizen property, this is the color which is represented, red color. Then police and military, okay, like this is the color. Police. Wounded versus year. How many of the people are wounded? Middle East and North Africa, these are the major region which is affected by the terrorist, and this is the sea here. This is the how shows that most of the people are wounded in Middle East and North Africa. Histogram of the data here. See here extended. Likewise, there are different columns are there, and in which how many unique values are there that will be visualized by means of histogram here, and extended likewise. And here 1972 and 2017, here the data has been visualized. How many in 1970, how many unique values are there, and likewise it is going to plot the histogram. Attacks was killed. So these are the attacks. In majorly we saw that it has been happened in Iraq, and this is the blue color represents the attacks and killed. How many people have been killed? See here in Iraq, more number of people have been killed, and in Spain attacks are less. Even less people have been killed. In India, so let us see here. Attacks are represented by this color, and this is the killed people. And here the attacks is less compared to the number of people killed. Here more number of people have been killed. And come to the conclusion, country with the highest number of terrorist attacks, Iraq. Already have seen here. The Iraq is the country where more people have been killed and most terrorist activities have been seen in that country. Regions with the highest number of terrorist attacks, Middle East and North Africa, and already we have discussed. Maximum number of people were killed by a single terrorist attack, or 1570 people, and took place in Iraq. Okay, great. Here see people killed. And year with most attacks, that is already have seen in 2014 have seen most attacks, and month with most attacks 5, group with most attacks Taliban groups, agency, and most attack types bombing and explosion. That already have seen by the visualization of the data. This is all about the exploratory data analysis of global terrorism data set. By this we have derived the insights that which region is most affected by the terrorism and how many people have been killed by the terrorist, and in which year most number of terrorist attacks have been seen, and which country is most affected by the terrorist, and which agency is more active to promote the terrorist activities, and what is the attack type, and what will be the major weapon used. All these insights have been derived from the data set. Thank you.